Good morning, colleagues. Welcome to the meeting, honorable members, everybody attending the meeting on this day, the 8th of December, 2023. Today is our last meeting of the year, and we have just two special items, brief items that we need to attend to. But before that, Ms. Moy, do you have any apologies?
Morning, Chairperson. Morning, honorable members, everyone on the platform. Yes, Chairperson, I received two apologies. One from Honorable Zungula. He's attending another meeting, and another one from our legal advisor, Ms. Phumelele Ngema. She has an appointment with the dentist, but she indicated that she'll join us as soon as she finishes with the dentist. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Moy. Those are the two apologies, Honorable Zungula and Ms. Ngema. With that, I suggest we proceed, members, and get to our items. And let me also thank you for making time to be in this meeting when the House has already risen on Wednesday. It demonstrates your commitment as members of Parliament to your work. We would have been the last committee established, so it's last in, last out. But the two main items we have for today, the first one is a completion of the clause-by-clause work we're doing. We had finished all clauses when we met on Tuesday, and there was just one little aspect in a particular clause which Mr. Mwepe is going to remind us about, and where Honorable Graham Murray had difficulties and promised to do some work in that regard. We're going to allow her to take us through her work and her concerns and whatever suggestions she has. We'll allow States SA and Mr. Mwepe, and thereafter members will come in so that we're able to make a decision and conclude all the clauses and really adopt the bill. So that's a positive that we have, that will close this year with us having started and concluded the bill, and then what would remain in January would be to ATC. At whatever point it will be ATC for it to be adopted by the House. And then the last item will be, I think, 1 or 2 sets of minutes that we need to adopt so that we close the year with a clean slate. If that's in order with you, members, I'm going to invite Honorable Graham, who would have sent her comments, to quickly speak to those.
Good morning, Chairperson. I've got load shedding, so I'm not going to switch on my camera because I'm worried about my signal. So, yes, Chairperson, so I submitted my input to, I think I sent it to everybody on Wednesday night. I wanted it to be with everybody before the meeting today. So effectively, as I mentioned in the meeting on Tuesday, my issue around clause 15 is the removal of the phrase "or any private dwelling." My concern being that this clause gives Stats SA full rights to enter any private premises, and later on in the Principal Act, which isn't covered in the Amendment Act or the Amendment Bill, it references the fact that they can enter at night if it's justifiable, and furthermore that they don't need permission. They don't need permission. So if the person refuses to consent to allow them to enter the property, they can go and get a warrant from a court in chambers. In other words, they don't go into court and defend an application for a warrant. They merely, on good cause, present to a judge who then determines if it's justifiable and issues them with a warrant. And once they have said warrant, even if the owner of the property or the person who has refused consent is not in the property, they then have permission to access the property. So my concerns here are that a private dwelling should not be the rights to privacy, as we have in our constitution in section 14, and the right to security of the person are being contravened by the removal of or any private dwelling, in that it is giving government and government employees unfettered access to somebody's private home. So the concerns around that are that we have high levels of crime in this country. We have high levels of GBV. And I'd like the members of this committee to think about it. If your daughter, your young daughter is at home and the parents are not there and the child refuses consent, and they determine that they're going to go and get a warrant, and then they have unfettered access to your home, would you be comfortable having a person from a community that has been slightly vetted by the department and then given these kind of unfettered powers of access to your property to then enter your property without your consent? This is, for me, a deeply, deeply concerning issue. So there are two ways that we can look at dealing with this. If people agree that this is an egregious breach of the right to privacy, and while I think it was Ms. Ngema said that Section 36 applies because that allows for a limitation of rights, that limitation of rights has to be justifiable and reasonable. And although it is in a law of general application, it meets that criteria. At the end of the day, I don't believe that the right to privacy and the right to safety and security and the right to protect yourself can be overwritten by government's need to get statistical data. I do not believe that that is a correct balancing of a right and the limitation thereof. So my recommendation is that we approach this in two ways. The first one is that if we remain with the concept of retaining that clause without any other private dwelling, and we proceed like that, then I would like us to then change it from they have to get a warrant to they have to get an interdict. With an interdict, they would then have to go into a court, and the person would have the right to reply and the right to defend it. Because currently the warrant system in chambers means that they can go and get that warrant without even notifying the owner or occupier of the property that they are doing this. And that person then has no right of reply, no right to defend the reasons why they don't want people on their property. And basically this gets done like in a criminal case, and these people then have access to your property. So that's the one aspect we could look at, and then say, all right, then you have to have an interdict and you have to go to court to get that, because I think that would give people pause to say, all right, well, this is serious enough for us to have to get an interdict and defend it in court. The second approach would be for us just to retain that clause or any other private dwelling and allow a person to have the right to privacy, and that the officials of the Statistician General and Statistics SA to then not have unfettered access to premises and to merely rely on the consent of the owner. So those are my proposals, is either one of those two. But I do truly believe, and I don't think I'm being melodramatic here, at the end of the day, when we draft legislation, we have to draft legislation with the worst case scenario in mind, not the best case scenario in mind. So in other words, we can say, well, most of these officials from Stats SA are really decent people. They're people who've just been appointed out of the community. They're people who are trying to do an honest day's work. But at the end of the day, there's always the chance that one of those people could be a rapist, an opportunist, a thief, a criminal, who then has access to somebody's house without their consent. And I do think we need to guard against giving anybody that level of access. So that is my input, Chair, and I really appreciate the opportunity and the chance to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Graham Murray. Thank you for your comments and your thoughts into what you feel strong about. I'm now going to invite the Stats SA, led by Statistician General. I'm told the DM is not here, but the SG is here and his team as a response to this. And then thereafter, I will invite members for our own deliberations. SG.
Chairperson, let me greet you and greet honorable members. I'm not sure if I'm audible, Chairperson.
You audible now? You audible? You audible, SG?
Yeah, let me apologize that I'm still in transit, but we have a brief presentation that we have prepared, and by the time my colleagues have taken us through the presentation, I will have settled down. But let me start off by saying that we do value the input by Honorable Graham, as we value input from all honorable members. But particularly from the point that Honorable Graham is raising, it is indeed true that while we have a decent team of field workers, we have had situations in the past where criminals have hijacked our good cause and even gotten regalia similar to the ones that we wear when we are in the field, and try to emerge there as field workers. But the lucky part is that our work with civic leaders, traditional leaders, the police on the farms have always been able to put such people, to expose them. We did also have problems where our field workers have, in the course of duty, been attacked. During one census, 2 field workers were actually sexually attacked. So we do have such instances. So either way, but what we are saying is that we might have to look at this issue of access to the private dwelling as in getting into the house, which we think should violate the privacy. But in the line of work, access to a premises becomes necessary. And a good example is places like those ones in in Soweto, where you have back rooms that we would not be able to do our work unless we are on the premises. Same as is on the farms, where we have to, once we are on the farm, we can unpack our questionnaires the moment we realize that there are quotas, staff quotas, that may not, and some of them informal that are emerging, that may not be in the main structure. So, but I will ask Ms. Yandiswa Mpecheni to take us through the presentation that we have prepared, Chairperson, to deal with these issues. So if you allow, I would ask Yandiswa to talk through the presentation. Thanks.
Over to you, SG. Thank you, with your team.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. I will just put on my camera for the purposes of greeting and then go into the presentation. Sorry, Chair.
That's in order.
Thank you. We thought we should recap on issues that we had to consider from our last engagement on the 5th of December. And as honorable members may be aware, we had to look at Section 7C, deleting the words in the year 2001 for conducting a census, and just put it as a generic statement that the census will be conducted every 10 years. And we had to look at 7L there and see whether we can delete the words at no cost. That was the recommendation from the committee. And there was also confusion as whether the NSS is a body or is a system. And we had to look into that and correct that. Then there was the proposed deletion of other than a private dwelling that had to be reconsidered based on the inputs that Honorable Graham has made. Now, on the next slide, this is what we have done. On section 7C, we have deleted 2001, and we now have a generic generic statement that the census will be conducted every 10 years. And we have deleted the word, the phrase "at no cost," because, as was said in the meeting, there are other ways that this can be negotiated. It doesn't have to be in the piece of legislation. And on section 13, where there was that confusion of whether the NSS is a system or is a body, we have corrected that. So this has been done because that production system is actually for the NSS. It is not. This should be known as the NSS, as was said in the bill. And on clause 9, I think that's what now I'm going to focus on a little bit. If you go to the next slide, silly. So on answering this, as the SG has said, we thought we should just give a brief background of the data collection process and why we need to access land and premises. We have to develop a sampling frame when we are doing our work, and particularly from dwelling units, and we have to go into that premise or land and unpack the number of dwelling units that we're going to find there, because sometimes you may find that there's one dwelling and then behind, as the SG has said, you have back rooms or you have other structures. And we also need to access the property to update what we see on the ground to see if there are any changes. Sometimes you get to a dwelling unit, now you find that it's a business or that it has no one lives there anymore. So we have to go to these premises to see all of this. And therefore inspect anything on or within the premises, within the realms of fulfilling the mandate. It means we have to go and unpack what is there for the purposes of data collection. And lastly, we need access to dwelling units for doing interviews on all the sample dwelling units and businesses. So what we thought we should do then to try and, we've already heard what Honorable Graham has said. We can move on to the next slide. What we thought we should do then is Status A to respond. We know that Honorable Graham has given us two options, that if we keep the phrase, then let's go for interdict and not warrant, and or we retain the clause as is. We've come up with a third scenario of deleting other than a private dwelling and rather inserting the word individual, which then means, if you go to the next slide, that this clause will now read as follows. For the purpose of making inquiries or observations necessary for achieving the purpose of this act, the Statistician General or any officer of Status A authorized by him or her may enter on any land or premises of any individual, organ of state, business, or other organization and inspect anything thereon or therein. That is where we end, Chair. That is our proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mpecheni. You will not explain the last slide. Keep the slide, this one. You can keep the slide as I invite members to engage with the deliberations. You would have listened to, and they were very helpful to note the kind of things that were raised as clarities, and those have been attended to. And now we are on the area of what would have been raised by Honorable Samantha Graham Murray. I now invite members to make their contributions. I'll start with the Honorable Graham.
Chair, could I ask that I go last? It would be nice to actually hear the inputs from other members of the portfolio committee rather than only having my input on.
That's fine. You can still come back. So I'll start with you if you need to come back. So let's keep it that way. It will be Phiri after you. It will be Honorable Manyi after Phiri. It will be Honorable Pillay. In that order, honorable members. Honorable Graham.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank Stats SA for the considered thought given to the input made and to the other inputs that we've made, and for actioning the ones that we had concerns with already. I'm not sure that the removal of any other any private dwelling and being replaced with any individual is a lack of clarity. If you look at the Prevention of Illegal Evictions Act, the PI Act, there's a lack of clarity all the way around as to what constitutes a dwelling or a home in law, and this concerns what would then be demarcated as an individual's premises if you are going in to do an inspection and a validation. So, for example, a person living on the street who lives in a tent would then be allowed to have somebody come in and access their premises. A person who lives in a shack would be located areas around their places in most instances. So it would be direct access into their homes. And again, by putting an individual, you're actually broadening the scope of the right of Stats SA to go into a person's personal space. And again, that is my concern. This is not so much about preventing Stats SA from gaining access. And we understand that so much decision-making that government does is based on the information that they get from these. And I'm a big supporter of the gathering of statistics. However, that being said, we now have other mechanisms for statistics gathering because of things like the internet. For example, nobody came to my house during the last census. Nobody ever came to visit me. But I was aware of the fact that it was required. So I went online and I did all the stats for my household on behalf of Stats SA. So there are alternative mechanisms of data gathering that do not require Stats SA to come into my home and ask me the relevant questions. And for that reason, because there are other mechanisms available, I do not believe that the right to enter my premises warrants a breach of my constitutional rights to safety and security and to privacy. So I do not believe that this remedies the fault. I actually think that this makes it even worse. So I would reject the insertion of individual and request again that we retain or any private dwelling. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Graham. Honorable Phiri.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to the colleagues in the platform and the Stats SA. Chair, this matter, I think it's very simple. I want to agree fully with the inception of this amendment. And when the presenter or even the ASG was presenting, they've got a number of cases where they are not getting a response, which then gives them one, financial implications that you must send the data capturer now and then into one household. Two, Chair, there are people who are not technologically advanced. Even myself, I don't like technology, Chair. But we all agree that Stats SA it's important. We need to have the data so that we plan as a country. We really want this data. And it does not mean, we must not put it as if there's danger in sending the data capturer to our household. It's not thuggery, Chair. But when a person can come into your house and produce and verify him or herself that this person is from the Stats SA, and you know the reasons, what is the problem there? The minute we start allowing the fact that it's an invasion or it's not allowed, and everybody in the country, we are running a risk of 100% not compliance with the citizens of the country. It's a problem. Chair, I want to also plead with my colleague that let it not be sound or be seen like it's something that it's illegal, or you are inviting thugs or be it criminals in your household. But we know the intention as lawmakers of us going to a household and gathering the data. So, Chair, I don't want to say it much because it might have an element like we are disagreeing and not understanding the reason why we have to collect this data. But I want to say this inception of this clause, it's important. It empowers and gives, allows the statistician general to do his work thoroughly without having more challenges. And they've incepted this because of what they've experienced over the years. Yes, Honorable Graham, you might have, you are better because you've got advantage of technology and others, and you can comply as an individual. But we have a lot of people who are disadvantaged, who can't even do that. So, Chair, I want to agree with the statistician general and say, let's incept this clause. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Piri. I now recognize Honorable Mani.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Good morning, everyone. I think, Chair, this is one of those things where, to be honest, we should really put our political differences and ideologies aside and look at the issue squarely as citizens of this country, and look and be informed by the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground, Chairperson, is very different to the various ideologies. I understand both sides of the equation. You see, Chairperson, if the situation was that Stats SA has got to go house to house on all their houses in this country, then what they are saying would make sense. But as Honorable Graham has said, even in my own house, I live in Sandton, they have never set foot in this house in the past 20 years that I've been here. So it's not like Stats SA actually goes house to house. Somewhere they average out things and all of that. And therefore, to posit a posture as if Stats SA is going house to house is actually patently not true. So let's not depart from a premise that is misleading. That's the first thing. Second thing, I think like the SG has already indicated that people fake uniforms. They even fake police uniforms and all that. And we currently have also all kinds of vetting issues. Honorable Graham was very kind to say some people are slightly vetted and all of that. I don't know what slightly vetted means. But Chairperson, for a person to come into your private house and all of that, we need not just slight vetting, we need serious vetting, as it were. And also, Chairperson, if you look at the submission by Honorable Graham, she is not opposed to any of people entering, no, but she just says, as you do, don't do that to an extent that my own privacy and my own safety is made vulnerable. I mean, why is that too much to ask? Why are you insisting that I want to come in nonetheless, when she says, no, if you have to, I mean, like for instance, the example that she has made, that, Chairperson, some of us that have got daughters, that's our point of departure. I also have daughters. I have a daughter. The last thing I need is for my daughter to call me frantically and saying, Daddy, here are these people with uniforms. They are forcing their way in. They say they're Stats SA. Imagine that, Chairperson. I mean, this is silly. This is why you have people shooting each other and all of that. I don't think we should do this, Chairperson. There is provision for if we have to do that, because also, Chairperson, on the other side, we also have to deal with this issue of back dwellings, where, for instance, I think it's in Kempton Park or somewhere, where it was discovered that some 100 and I don't know how many foreign nationals were hidden at the back. So we must think about those situations. But at the same time, Chairperson, it must be clear who deals with what. If there are those kinds of situations of overpopulating of people by people that should not be there and all of that, there must be another arm of the state that whose job it is to deal with that. So Stats SA, you see, just like a chairperson, we're having this discussion here with SAP. SAP has got its own mandate, but it wants to interfere with the mandates of others in order to execute its own mandate. This is a problem for me, chairperson. What Stats SA should not do in executing its mandate? It should not interfere with what maybe is it Home Affairs or police or anybody else that should be doing this, chairperson. So I am vehemently opposed to this steadfast posture of SAP. I mean, Honorable Graham gave two options, and both options do not prevent. It's not like we're here preventing anyone. We're just saying, as you do it in a manner that does not make me uncomfortable with my daughter alone at home. Think of your daughter alone at home, and here are people that are going to pose as these Stats SA people. And by the time the police arrest is after the fact, is when your daughter has already been raped. I mean, it gives me no comfort to tell me that, well, the police this, the police that. The police are characteristically people that react long after the fact. So, person, why are we insisting on endangering the people of South Africa? You know, why the insistence on this? So I really don't understand this, chairperson. So I honestly think that the only discussion that we must have here is which option makes sense between the two that Honorable Graham has proposed, and we can move forward with that. And everybody is covered, chairperson. Everybody is covered in that. You see, for instance, the input by Honorable Phiri, I can appreciate it, but at the same time, Honorable Phiri, we need to be able to demonstrate as a state to South Africans that we care about their well-being, we care about who comes into their property, and as we show our care, we say if somebody has to come to a property, we as a state are going to ensure that there's proper processes that are followed. If there's an interdict where you can go and state your case, you have an opportunity to do so. Or if there's all other, some of these things that Honorable Graham has provided for, that are adhered to, all of this, chairperson, is aimed at ensuring that as my daughter is not made vulnerable by this forceful state that wants to do as it pleases. So, chairperson, no, I reject this formulation vehemently because it does absolutely nothing to deal with the substantive issue that Honorable Graham has raised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. Honorable Pillay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and greetings to all members of the platform. Chair, I think that we, as members of this August House, at no point do we want to endanger the lives of our citizens. And at all times, we will protect the interest of communities. I think it's important for us to also note that research and data collection and stats is important in the planning of everything and implementation. I have to say personally, I don't see a problem with the proposed amendment that Stats SA is giving us, the one that's on the screen right now, because that basically is saying that they are allowed to be able to access, to be able to get information. And perhaps maybe we just need to, because there's a fine line in terms of the, and I think it's based on the word access. Perhaps if we, I'm not sure if there's parliamentary legal services that's with us today. Perhaps maybe we should just get a legal opinion on it. But otherwise, Chair, I support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Honorable Yabo. Honorable Yabo. Honorable Mutapo. Honorable Mutapo. Okay.
They probably logged in just for vote purposes.
Sorry, Honorable Manye, don't do that, please. Thank you, honorable members. Maybe before I come in, it's quite clear 4 members have spoken. 2 members are in agreement, 2 are not in agreement. And it's part of the reason why I want every member to make a contribution in this. The decision is not going to be by Stats SA or legal team. The committee has to discuss this. And so from where I'm sitting, I think Honorable Graham has raised a number of issues. But I want to pick a few of those. For example, which I don't agree, I don't share. For example, you would have said, when we do the law, we must have in mind the worst case scenario. That can't be right. I can only take you to the Constitution for that matter. The kind of Constitution that we have, which was adopted in 1996. It would not have been a Constitution that, and you can go in any of its sections and clauses. The Constitution makes provision for a thriving, for a prosperous country. You don't have a clause that plans for the worst case scenario necessarily there. And when we make laws, these laws should take into account what happens, but you make laws going into the future. Otherwise, you would have very prescriptive laws that are based on a particular issue, because the issue here is we must say it openly. The issue here is the state of unemployment, of poverty, which give rise to a high rate of crime. It is very clear now in my mind that just having listened, Stats SA would have struggled. You'd remember we spoke about the undercounting, and the undercounting was severe in the Western Cape. What was reported, perhaps it does not give a true picture, because what was reported was that there would have been resistance to field workers who were not of the same race or not coming from those communities. But I think that what has been put on the table begins to speak to those kind of fears. And so it goes back, you now understand this undercounting in a particular context. So there are quite a number of issues that were raised. And one of the issues Honorable Graham raises is the issue that a person, a household, or individual would have no right of reply. I mean, in this country, we have search warrants that are approved by judges, where an individual has no right of reply to that. You get shown the search of warrant by the person coming into that house. And I could go on in a number of examples. So I don't know if that would be helpful, that kind of an example in that way. And I don't think we must play down the importance of both sections 14 of the Constitution, the right to privacy, and it being balanced to section 36 of the Constitutions, that all of our rights, including the right to privacy, has limitations. We should not wish that away. We've got to balance the two, because it's important that the right that I enjoy should not infringe on the next person or even a particular mandate. And so it's important that we take those things holistically. Otherwise, if we don't do that, then we become very selective in the manner and the way we want to look at things. And so you have this Honorable Graham put certain suggestions. What we're doing here, we're making a law. And one of the things when you make a law that it can't be prescriptive, unless you can create regulations outside of that and other measures that would assist you to do that. And so it's going to be important that as we discuss this, because I'm sure if there would be any other way of looking at it, in future, there might not even be a problem for Stats SA to operate in the way that, and with the kind of tools that police would do, that they would go to a judge and as they go into the house, they have this inspection warrant, whatever that you would call it. And when that happens, because it happens, there's a precedent, it happens in many other institutions, you would not be able to target Stats SA that it can't do this when others are able to do that. And so the issue here is that it is important for all of us. I think Honorable Manyi made the point that we should remove the caps of ideologies or even the partisan cap and confine ourselves to us making this law that must stand the test of time, that must stand scrutiny in any court. Just from where I'm sitting, because one of the things that we must do when you make laws is that the first criteria is that it must pass through the constitutional muster. And if you have got a law that balances sections 14 and 36 in this context, where you have no constitutionality of any individual infringed, but what you have is a provision to balance that, it will be very difficult to make that kind of argument. And so I thought I must just raise that with colleagues. If colleagues wants to come back, you can do that, but at some point we're going to have to take a decision as the committee. We cannot go on and with an indefinite kind of a discussion on these matters. If there's any member who wants to have a follow-up, I invite that. Honorable Manyi.
I think we're all sort of in the same mind about what we want to do. We're in the same mind what we want to do. And what we want to do is to ensure that Stats SA gets credible data from everyone. Nobody is against that. Nobody is against Stats SA entering any property for that matter. The only thing, Chairperson, which I'm not understanding why we don't seem to understand, is that and these instances are not going to be general. Generally, people don't have a problem with Stats SA coming, but there could be one or two instances where a particular household feels vulnerable. So all we are saying is that in that particular instant, which will be few and far in between, the state must have mechanisms and the law must create mechanisms, because the law is the law that must be the law for everyone. The law must have mechanisms to give safeguards to those individuals by saying that, well, if you're not happy, I mean, it could even be Stats SA, bring police or whatever, something. But the issue here, Chairperson, is that we're all about ensuring the safety of the individual. Chairperson, when we did the what to call it, the FICA Act, a similar, I don't want to call it stunt, but a similar approach was done by the FICA people National Treasury, where what they wanted to do was to just, and in that, and by the way, these are much more serious enforcement agencies around FICA, where they wanted to just come in without any warrant for that matter, if they just thought that money laundering and all of that. I mean, this is just for criminality, but that was disallowed, Chairperson, which just shows that the issue of the privacy is, this will be taken to court. This clause will be taken to court if it continues the way it is, and it will be defeated because there's precedence where it was agreed that the FICA crowd cannot just storm in. They must get a proper, what to call it, proper safeguards within the legal processes and what have you, instead of just storming in. What we're having here, with a much more people-friendly, I mean, Stats SA is not feared because Stats SA is known to be a friendly force, as it were. And that's actually the issue, Chairperson. Because it's a friendly force, it therefore means that people that imitate their uniform can imitate their uniform, and while all our guards are down because this is a friendly force entering your property, and little do you know that these are all criminals, as it were. This is not about Stats SA. This is about those that pretend they're Stats SA and you wouldn't know any better. And therefore, there has to be some kind of a mechanism that ensures that you don't discover after the fact that, I thought I was being a law-abiding citizen, and this is the price I'm paying for this. So, honestly, Chairperson, I'm struggling to understand why. I mean, because why are we struggling with understanding this? Because this is not a general issue, as it were. It is on isolated cases, as it were. And in those cases, Chairperson, this is when, in fact, Stats SA can help other agencies to say, hey, Home Affairs, go and check there. Looks like there's a problem here. And they can move on to other houses and then come back later to this one, instead of them trying to be law enforcement. And as soon as they do this, if you come to Stats SA with some warrant and all of that, you change the posture and the trust, public trust, Chairperson. This is the last thing that Stats SA need, to be seen as some kind, because they also have their uniform. You don't want the confusion between Stats SA and Metro Police and all of this. You want Stats SA to continue to have a friendly posture, Chairperson. I'm really struggling to understand why is it that we want to force this issue at the risk of putting our women and girls at risk. Why are we doing this? Why do we want to force this like this when we're not stopping? And here's the issue here, Chairperson. We are not stopping Stats SA from coming in. All we're saying is that as you do, does not create or exacerbate vulnerabilities. Why is that difficult to accept, Chairperson? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. Honorable Phiri.
Chair, I still come back with the fact that we need not to exaggerate and discuss it as this criminal element. Chair, I think even though this law it's written in this way, or this clause, does not mean for the first time they'll go in and force themselves. The enforcement that is being discussed, I really don't agree with the fact how it's been discussed, as if there's a force that is coming in, or there's an element of us not caring about the citizens of the country. I'm a parent, Chair, for a fact. I raise boys and girls in my home instead, and it won't be good if there is an element of rape and any sort of things that are not good. But what I want to reiterate is that let us not discuss this clause as if it opens a loophole for our houses to be vulnerable or whatsoever. If a data capturer comes to my house and finds a young girl or a boy, be it because it can happen to any gender, and the child says there's no one at home, then the person will be in a position to return back. But if a data capturer arrives at my home and I'm there, I refuse. What powers do the statistic has if it's not allowed by an adult? This law, I think, or this clause, I think it's made where a person is refusing to give access or for the household to be counted. It's not about you know, it's given on one side. It's all about when there's vulnerability, when there's a young girl, when there's a boy. It can't be that fact. It must be looked at it holistically, that it's a refusal of a household that does not want it to be counted. And Chair, these things happen in your suburb. It does not happen mostly in the locations or urban area or rural areas. It happens where there are people who understand themselves. And I'm trying not to get into that such kind of politics, but it's a fact, Chair. It's Stats SA has an experience of being reprimanded to enter and do their work in urban areas. But Chairperson, I want not to, as Honorable Manye said, we don't want to bring politics of parties. Here we are a family, here we are legislators, all of us, and we must do what is best for the country. We must also assist this state to plan properly when we are given these stats. But I want to question members that we need not to discuss it in an angle of looking at it in a criminal element only, and just to have a look on the fact that there's vulnerability, you are opening up a loophole. What is the main reason of putting this clause? The main reason of putting this clause is not opening up for thugs or criminals in our households, but the opening is that we need to have data. But Chair, let me stop there because it's gonna be a bit bad, and we are a family. We don't want to divide ourselves. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Phiri. I will give Honorable Graham Murray as a last, and then I will summarize thereafter.
Thank you, Chairperson. And while I appreciate that Honorable Phiri says we are a family, I don't know a single family that agrees on everything and never argues. And at the end of the day, it is not our job just to sit and rubber stamp decisions by officials or legislation by officials, but it is our job to represent the people of our country in this portfolio committee and to make sure that everything we do is designed around the best interests of the communities that we are representing. And this is not a racial issue, although there have been inclinations to make this into one, or even about affluence. It doesn't matter what household you're in. I'm in their 80s and who live in informal settlements, just coming into their homes without their permission? No. So this is not about just girl children and boy children. It's also about the elderly. It's also about disabled people. It's about people having the right to determine who can enter their own homes. And I think that's the point everybody's missing. We are not saying that we don't want Stats SA to gather information. We are not saying that Stats SA should not have a reasonable right of access to premises. What we are saying is that the way that this has been phrased is that a private individual loses the right of consent to allow somebody to access their premises. Because it's not just this clause. The clause goes on further. They can come in at night if they can justify it. They can come in when you're not at home if they can justify it. All they have to do is affix the warrant that they've received and put that on your premises, and they can access your premises. Is that okay with people? Are you comfortable with complete strangers of any race wandering around your property, having a look and inspecting? I don't think anybody would be comfortable with that. If you have a disabled person lying at home and you have somebody ambling around your property, I don't think you'd be happy. If you have young children at home, would you be comfortable with that? So the question here is, do we protect the most vulnerable in our society? And that is what the Constitution is about, against any powers of the state that would take away their individual rights. Our Constitution is about balancing of rights, but it's not about balancing the rights of the state against an individual. It's about balancing the rights of individuals and protecting them from a state that might be too egregiously involved in their lives. That's what the Constitution is about. So the balancing of rights is not about giving the state more power versus the individual, or even about balancing those rights. It's about ensuring that we protect the most vulnerable in our society. And Chair, I disagree with you when you say that we do not legislate for the worst case scenario. We have to legislate for the worst case scenario. We live in a country with the highest crime rate in the world. There are murders and rapes happening as we speak. And we are now giving people that are vetted very, very superficially by a government organization. They don't come to your community and check who the people are that they're appointing. They do a little short course on how to gather data, and then they are sent out into people's homes. And we are now making a law that gives them unfettered access to people's homes in a country where there is unbelievable rates of violence. So this is not about saying Stats SA you may not access our property. Stats SA is also not a criminal body. For them to then be able to go and get a warrant to just have access to your house because they want to count things does not make sense. And that is why I'm saying rather allow them to go and interdict. And then the person can come and say, I don't want Stats SA coming in because I'm not at home during the day. I work night shifts. I don't want them coming in because I have a disabled person or small children in my home, but I'm prepared to find another way of giving them the information they need. So we're not stopping the collection of data. We are protecting our most vulnerable citizens. And I don't think that that's an unreasonable request. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Graham. I am now going to, so that we summarize this, of the members that would have spoken. Honorable Graham has definitely said no to this amendment in front of us. Honorable Phiri agrees with this amendment. Honorable Manyi says no to this amendment in front of us. Honorable Pillay agrees with this amendment. I would have spoken myself, and I'm in support of this amendment in front of us. If there's any other member I'm leaving out that would never spoken, can do so now. Otherwise, my summary is that we will proceed, therefore, and have this clause agreed to in the manner that I've just indicated. Thank you. Honorable Yabo.
Let me greet you, Honorable Chair, and all the members on the platform, the SG and his team. Chair, let me appreciate the opportunity to make my input on this clause. And Chair, I want to, one, support the clause, because having not put a clause of this nature in the amendment will create a gray area in as far as access is concerned for the Statistician General or Stats SA to be able to execute their mandate as required by law. And so it's important that the law speaks explicitly on the matter of access. We have seen a tendency amongst certain groupings in our country to not want to participate in matters of national importance because of certain philosophical or political views that they may hold. But if the Stats SA and the Statistician General is not empowered by an act of parliament to gain access or be authorized to gain access to land or premises, there will be a gray area that will then leave this matter to be decided on by the courts. Something we do not wish to see happen in the execution of the duties of Stats SA. And so I agree with this clause, Chair, because it creates a premise from which to move in giving a legal authority to Stats SA to be able to gain access. Of course, there will be checks and balances in how that is done. And I don't see how this contravenes the Constitution, because being counted is not undermining the rights of any individual. We cannot agree that individuals have the right to disagree to be counted when counting is just exactly that. It's being counted. That it does not criminalize you. It does not set you apart by race or in a negative fashion. It's being counted to know how to play as a country. So this clause, Chair, I agree with fully. It provides the basis upon which Stats SA can gain access to be able to enumerate those who reside within the borders of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mafuza Yabo. I now want to put, therefore, for record purposes, do I have any mover for the adoption of this amended clause? Do I have any mover for the adoption of this amended clause? Honorable,
I would like to move for the adoption of the clause.
Thank you, Honorable Yabo. Any seconder?
I would second that, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Amended clause duly adopted. Any objections?
The Democratic Alliance objects, Chairperson.
Thank you. The objection will be noted and so recorded. Thank you. We'll proceed. Mr. Mwepe.
Chair.
Mr.
Chair, sorry, I raised my hand.
Oh, go ahead.
I raised my hand. Yeah, sorry. I also want not just an objection, a vehement objection by the EFF on this clause.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. That will be noted and recorded. Thank you. Mr. Mwepe. This would have been the last part we're dealing with. Do you want to come in terms of us concluding this, the bill? Mr. Mwepe, are you there?
Okay, Chair, I'm there. I just got kicked out because of I'm experiencing load shedding, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah, I've missed what you have said, Honorable Chair, because I was out.
We've just adopted the last amended clause, so we're now looking at the next step. So we are now done with the bill. Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, Chair, what I can say is that we, since the committee has adopted the A list, so the next step will this bill will be sent to CREDA for them to finalize the B list. Then after, when the committee has received the B list, then we'll have to adopt the B list, Chairperson, based on the amendment that the Stats SA together with our legal service have put on before the committee. Then I don't know, it will be guided by you, Chairperson, when would you like this committee to adopt the B list? And then from there, we'll adopt the report. So meaning the next step, we are not going to deliberate, it's just to look at the B list, whether everything has been put together in the B list, and then after the B list, we adopt the report and then we send the report to the National Assembly. We're supposed to be doing that today, Chairperson, but we don't have the B list yet, but we are still on the A list since members were deliberating on the amendment. Honorable Chair, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mwepe. Are those now new hands, Honorable Manyi, Honorable Tobias?
Yes, Chair.
No, it's a legacy hand from my side, Aloy. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Honorable Tobias?
Chair, I know of a situation in the past when the bill list is not ready, you are able to send the bill for the attention of the legal department whilst you are going to rectify what is in the bill list. Can Mr. Mwepe clarify whether that cannot be the case in this instance?
Thank you, and thank you, Honorable Tobias, for that intervention. Mr. Mwepe?
Okay, Chairperson, yes, that can be done as long as the committee can pass a resolution on it. That maybe when the legal service have finalized the B list, what we can do, we can just circulate the B list, but then we can adopt the report today because the report is ready, Chair. What we can do is just to if the committee makes such a resolution and give us a go ahead, what we can do, we can adopt the report, and then when the B list comes, then we circulate it among members so that they can see whether the amendment have reflected on the B list, and then we can send the report for ATC to with the B list. Where once the B list by CRETA has been finalized and brought back to the committee. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr.
Chair, may I then proceed to make a proposal?
Yes, back to you, Honorable Tobias, and then I'll go to Honorable Manyi.
Yes, Chair, I move forward that we adopt the bill. We have always done it, even with opposition parties before. It has never been a problem because it's a technicality that we address. It doesn't change the fundamentals of the bill itself. Therefore, I suggest that we adopt the report so that we can proceed because we'll still, the 3-day rule will still apply in this context. So there will be no harm in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Tobias moves that we adopt the report. Honorable Manyi?
Yeah, Chairperson, in fact, I think the suggestion by Honorable Tobias is very progressive. She's not stopping anything, and we also don't want to necessarily stop anything. We should agree with this. But the issue is, as we go along, we just want to make sure that the checks and balances are also in place as him to do is that this contention, as it were, with the issues raised, just to make sure that the explanations given and everything else is really what it's supposed to achieve. Just to test this whole thing, get legal people to look at it and make sure that everybody is covered, as it were. I mean, if Mr. Mwepe does what he's just said he'll do, then what's the difference between what he would have generally have done? The issue here is deeper than just a normal general is to test the issue of ensuring that this clause does not offend any principle within the Constitution. That's all. Just to give that assurance, Chairperson, to reduce the likelihood of taking things to court when we can resolve it internally. That's all, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. The committee has adopted the amendment. I think that is done. Not going back there. That has been adopted. We're now into the next process, having adopted that. And that next process.
Chair, before we proceed, just to allay his fears, may I please just for
I'll come to you, Honorable Tobias.
Okay.
I'll come to you. Relaxing, yes, I will. And so that's where we are. And on the process point where I was, I have on the table a proposal, a mover to adopt the report. That's what I have. And therefore, people can deal with the issues they want to raise, but I want you to focus on that. And I'm going to invite yeah, that's now proper, so that you perhaps before I go to the hands, Mr. Mwepe, can I come back to you? The report, Mr. Mwepe. Mr. Julius Mwepe.
Okay, honorable members, here is the. Hello, Chair.
You seem to have some network challenges today, so please go ahead.
Chair.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Chair. Okay, Chair. Report. There is a draft report for the committee on the statistics amendment bill. I'm just going to go page by page.
Honorable Pillay, please mute. Sorry, Mr. Mwepe. Honorable Pillay, please mute. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Mwepe.
Yeah, I will just go page by page, Chairperson, without reading. This is just a referral on background and the referral of the bill. When was this matter was referred, or when the bill was referred to our Chairperson on the 13th of October 2023. That's the time when we got a referral by the speaker on this particular bill. Here is just to indicate the objects of the bill, Honorable Chair. Nothing has changed. And then maybe if there's anything that they will need to correct the Chair through you, then members can correct on 3.1. It's just to indicate where the process of the public participation one submission. Okay, before we have advertised, Chairperson, it just for this, and then the advert closed on the 24th of November 24, and only one submission was received, Chair, from South African Reserve Bank. And then on the 5th, South African Reserve Bank was invited for oral submission, and Statistics South Africa was granted an opportunity to respond to the South African Reserve Bank submission. And we also invited the Parliamentary Constitutional and Legal Service Honorable Chairperson. That made the decision was well received by the committee, as there were no major issues with regard to the constitutionality of the bill, Chair, that were raised by our the Parliamentary Legal Service. And then on point 3.4 is just to indicate, Honorable Chair, that based on the National Assembly Rule 286, we have passed the motion of desirability, and the committee agreed to the motion of desirability. On 3.5, Chair, then after the motion of the desirability, the committee deliberated clause by clause of the bill, and the committee agreed to with most of the clauses. However, 3 clauses were requested to be reviewed by the Parliament's inputs, of which is the process that we have just concluded today, Chairperson. And then here, why is highlighted in red, it was just to say, in case, okay, the committee on this particular day, I think today's the 8th, the committee considered and adopted the bill, and the following political, we were just preempting, as it has always been the standard, Chair, if the political parties will express their views on the bill. So we didn't emphasize, because maybe that will be done through you, Chairperson. So we didn't write anything here. And then we therefore just one recommendation, that the Portfolio Committee on Planning and approve the second reading of Statistics Amendment Bill B31B 2023. So B will only this, as I've indicated, Chair, then that's when we get the B, that's when we'll ATC together with the bill. Thanks, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members.
Yes, just before you go to 3.6, I would have recorded. The committee has taken has adopted the bill, and we have recorded and received 2 objections to that in the meeting. Honorable Mare and Honorable Manye would have recorded their objections to the bill, so you can feel that part. But the bill has been adopted with the majority support in that regard, and therefore we can go to the recommendation. The Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation recommends that the House adopts the report and approves the second reading of Stats Amendment Bill in that way. Can I go back to you, Honorable Tobias? Do I have a mover? I'll repeat that for the adoption of the report.
Chairperson, before you do that, I have a matter of clarity seeking, please.
No problem. Go ahead, Honorable Graham.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to just find out whether or not I have time to submit a minority report to be included with this report for tabling, and what the deadline.
You got cut. Please repeat that, Honorable Graham.
I apologize. I would like to know, I would like to submit a minority.
Your line is too bad. Your line is too bad. Just reposition yourself.
With this report when it is tabled.
Chair, can I assist you?
I can't move. I'll type it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Honorable Graham. We'll check that now. Honorable Phiri, I hope you have noted that, Mr. Mwepe.
Yeah, I've noted that. Yeah.
Chair, the minority report, isn't it everyone when we deal with a bill, they submit their own report or amendment or suggestions? Yes, in the report, the Secretariat will write who said what in that of not agreeing with them clause, but it does not go, or it cannot be accompanied by a special report made by the minority. There is a section where there is a minority. When they say minority, then it will be written, it's not supported, but it cannot go with the report made by minority. They'll discuss it in the House. Thanks,
Thank
Chair.
you. Thank you, Honorable Phiri.
Yes.
Mr. Mwepe?
Yeah, Chair. Yeah, like I fully agree with Honorable Phiri's submission. Yes, it's always like that. When we ATC, we don't ATC the minority report. But the reason why we have left this doors was just to indicate if, let's say, the political party would say we express our view not to support whatever, then we'll just put it as it is. But when there will be a debate on this bill, then that's when the members will then express their views with regard to the bill. But when we ATC, we only ATC the report of the committee, not with the minority report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mwepe. Honorable Tobias?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the issue of minority reports has always came, and they've never find a solace amongst members, except if there's an agreement. Now, when a bill is being tabled for discussion in Parliament, members make their inputs. Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll not agree. But in any democracy, the majority view will prevail. But because we allow a situation where objections are recorded and inputs are made, that's why 3.6 covers them sufficiently so. And Honorable Phiri is correct. In the chamber, on record, those who have a different opinion on certain clauses of the bill will have an opportunity to express themselves. And that's why I wanted to, at an earlier stage, to allay the fears of Honorable Mani. Any bill that is unconstitutional will never find concurrence with the presidency. If the presidency makes that mistake, the Constitutional Court will correct that. The bill will come back for a specific correction in the National Assembly, if at all there was a constitutional matter raised by the Constitutional Court. Now, opposition parties are given an opportunity to express itself as and when we deal with clause by clause. And in this instance, it was the case. So on a particular view where people don't agree, they will indicate that they don't agree with that clause. So I don't think we need to entertain that for now. I don't agree that we should do that. Thank you very much. And I propose that we adopt. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tobias. Again, Honorable Tobias is moving for the adoption of the report. Do I have any seconder?
Chairperson, I don't think you saw my hand.
Okay, Honorable Pillay, come before I
Thank
move.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think I must add just a little bit of input. We went through a process of the Electoral Amendment Bill in Home Affairs, and there is no record of a minority report. Indeed, the report is adopted and it is noted in terms of the objections. I've also seen the comments in the chat from the honorable member, and perhaps we can just then ask this committee, because I see Honorable Phiri also saying that there was an agreement of that particular committee. But I want to support that we do not have a minority report and that we just note the objections of the political parties that may have objected to the report. Chair, and with that, I would second the report.
Okay, thank you. The objections have already been noted in the manner we did. Obviously, Honorable Graham was raising a different matter of a minority report, and so far members who would have spoken are not in agreement with us having that. So I wouldn't want us to stay on that issue. It's not taking us anywhere. So we'll be recording as it is being done now by Mr. Mwepe, the objections as they have been recorded and placed in front of us, as well as the majority view to adopt the amendment. And we now are on the adoption of the report itself. Honorable Tobias has again moved for the adoption of the report. Do I have a seconder?
Chair, please seconded.
Oh, Honorable Pillay, in your last point, has seconded the report, and therefore the report is duly adopted. I think Mr. Mwepe.
Yeah, Chairperson, just one thing, because I'm just thinking in the previous meeting, Honorable Graham supported other clauses, but and then even I believe even the Honorable Manyi. So, but I don't know what to say on both the political parties, because whether they didn't support the bill or what should I say? I don't know if you can just allow them maybe to raise their expression on the bill itself before we can close this matter.
Mr. Mwepe, when we do clause by clause, we have that on record, and it will reflect as such in our minutes, that on this clause, we agreed there was support. If there would not have been support, that would also have been kind of recorded. What they are doing, which is their right, they have objected to that amendment, which was contentious, and were discussions about it. So I wouldn't want to go back to the clause by clause when it's already recorded in the manner that it was. But we have to highlight, and we have taken into account areas where there was a disagreement. So I don't know whether that helps you.
Yeah, no, it helps, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Manyi?
Thank you, Chair. No, I'm just rising here to entertain your what you call it, Chairperson, your adoption. That please note the reservation of the EFF. We would have otherwise have agreed to this if we had agreed to this clause. Like Mr. Mwepe is saying, we're generally supportive of this except for this clause. So in order to deal with it, we therefore reserve our position. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manyi. That's in order. The EFF reserves its position. Thank you. We
How
proceed.
many are you, Honorable Manyi? How many? We.
Order, Honorable Piri. Order, Honorable Piri. You've not been.
Yeah, you mustn't allow her to alienate him. We need his vote.
Please. Honorable Graham.
Thank you, Chairperson. I adopt the same approach as Honourable Manyi. The Democratic Alliance would like to support this bill in its entirety, but unfortunately, due to the inclusion of that clause, we cannot. Thank you.
So the Democratic Alliance is not reserving, but it is objecting to the report. Thank you. You got that, Mr. Mwepe?
Yeah, no, I got that, Chairperson. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm trying to wait for you to conclude so that we know we don't rush you. You'll indicate when you're done?
Yeah, I'm done, Chairperson.
Thank you. And we therefore are done. The report is duly adopted with the reservation and objections noted to the report. We now proceed to the next point, Honorable Mr. Mwepe and Ms. Moy.
The next point, Chairperson, thank you, is the adoption of the committee minutes.
Please go ahead.
Chairperson, in front of us are the minutes of the 17th of November. The first page is the attendance by members. Second page, introduction. Remarks by Chairperson. Third page, committee deliberations. Chairperson summary. Last page is the conclusion, Chairperson. Chairperson, those are the minutes of the 17th of November. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Minutes of the 17th of November. Any corrections? None. Do I have a move? Okay, Honorable Pillay, corrections?
Chair, I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Okay. Honorable Pillay moves for the adoption of the minutes. Any seconder?
I second, Chair.
I seconds minutes duly adopted. Can we get to the next set of minutes?
1st of December, Chairperson. Attendance by members. Department. Members deliberations, page 3. Chairperson summary, page 4. Adjournment, Chairperson, page 5. Thank you, Chair.
Any corrections, and do I have a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Chairperson.
Honorable Manyi.
Just checking that NSS story has been correctly captured given the explanation by Stats SA this morning.
Okay. Ms. Moy, do you want to respond to that?
Let me go back to the minutes of the. Those were the minutes of the 1st of December.
Yes, 1st of December. So Honorable Manyi has a late response.
Yes, it's It's two. Is it 2.1? Which one is it, Mr. Honorable Manye?
I think
2.11.
it's 2.8. It's right there on top. It talks about NSS.
Yes, it's 2.8, Honorable Manye.
Yeah. Any issue there, Honorable Manye? That reflects what would have been inquired.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I think she was going very quickly. I thought it summarizes the position, but it just summarizes the question. That's fine.
Thank you. You can take them off, Ms. Moy. Next set, Ms. Moy.
Okay, Chair. 17, I did the 17th, the 1st of December.
You still have more
Chairperson, I'm just checking, have we adopted those minutes?
of the first.
Of the first, we did, Honorable.
We did.
Thank you.
The second last is the 17th of November.
You did that.
We did those ones.
Yes.
Quite a lot of minutes.
We started with
Okay, Chairperson, I think the last one is the annual report of the committee.
Was
2
that
minutes, Chairperson.
okay?
Yes, Chair.
It was circulated. Okay.
Yes, Chairperson.
All right.
Hello, Chair. Can I come in?
Yes, Mr. Mwepe.
Yeah, Chair. This actually it's just a quarterly report from the committee because this committee has just started. It's just this annual report just reflects the activities of the quarterly activities that committee has already undertaken. So there's nothing much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, if you look at the report.
Okay, Ms. Moore, you can take us through.
There's a hand by Honorable Pillay, Chairperson.
Oh, okay. My apology. Honorable Pillay, didn't see that.
Thank you, Chair. Now, I just want to seek clarity because the email came with 10th, 17th, 24th, 1st of December. And I know that we've only adopted 2 sets of minutes. Is the other minutes already adopted?
Not yet, Honorable. Which one did we adopt again? I'm sorry about that.
Chairperson, the order of the minutes, the order of the minutes are 10th of November, 17th of November, 24th of November, and 1st of December. We've only adopted 2 sets of minutes so far.
Okay.
It's 10.
Ms. Moy, please go back.
We adopted the 10th and the 4th and the 24th, right? So we left with the 17th and the 1st.
We adopted the 17th and
yes, we adopted the 17th. Are you confused today? We adopted the 17th and the 1st.
That is correct, Chair. That is correct.
We now need the 10th and the 24th.
I apologize for that, honorable members. It's almost that time of the year. Okay. In front of us, our Chairperson, is the preliminary annual report on the activities of the portfolio committee.
Okay, maybe before you do that, just go back to those minutes. We'll give you time.
Okay, Chair.
The minutes and then come back to this.
Okay, Chairperson. So now we're doing the 10th of November.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Now is the 10th.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Yes, Chairperson.
Please go ahead.
First page is the attendance of members, honorable members, the department, introduction by the Chairperson, deliberations by members, honorable members, deliberations, continuation, recommendations, Chairperson's summary, adoption of minutes of the 3rd of November, Conclusion. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Are there any corrections or a mover for adoption of the minutes of the 10th of November?
Chairperson, I'll move for the adoption.
I'm sorry, my gadget was giving me a problem. I second, Chair.
Honorable Pillay moves and Honorable Tobias second. Minutes duly adopted. Thank you. Don't go to the 1st of December. We've done those. It's supposed to be the 24th, if you have 24th.
Chairperson, in front of us is the 24th of November.
Ebo.
Members' attendance. Department. Introduction by the Chairperson. Committee's deliberations. Chairperson's summary. Conclusion, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank
Those are the
you.
last set of-
Any corrections? And is there a mover for the adoption?
saw
Honorable Tobias moves. Any seconder?
Chair, I second the true reflection of the minutes, but I miss the voice of Honorable Jimmy Man. Can you come in, please?
No, out of order. Is Honorable Mzwanele Manyi. Is
She's
not.
starting, Chair. She's
He
starting.
indicated that it's not
She's
even in
doing
his
the fight.
be out of order. Thank you. Honorable Manyi.
Yeah, Chairperson, I follow the process, but I'm not going to obstruct the process, Chair. I'm just going to ask that in future, when we have to do this kind of a thing, can we get it indicated so that there can be proper preparations? Because right now we're just rubber stamping and operating on good faith, Chairperson. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Manyi.
Thank
All
you
of-
for complying.
all of these
Honorable
minutes would have been sent to all of the members, Honorable Manyi. It's just the order that is went the other way, but all of them have been circulated. Honorable Pillay.
Yes, Chairperson, I just wanted to indicate that the notice of the meeting did say consideration and adoption of all outstanding PC minutes and the preliminary annual report. So we were prepared and we did receive it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. So we're done with the minutes of the 24th. Were you able to circulate the minutes of the 5th or not yet?
Not yet, Chairperson.
Okay, then the outstanding minutes is that of the 5th and that of today. We now can go to your annual report, which reflects quarterly work, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. The overview of the Chairperson, according to rules of the National Assembly Rule 1662B, a committee must report on the Assembly on its activities at least once per year, and this annual report documents the activities of the committee between September until end December 2023 period. The purpose of this report is to provide account of the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation during the 23 term, and to assess key outstanding issues pertaining to the oversight and legislative program of the department and its entities. The first page, Chairperson, is the list of members of the committee. Mandate and strategic priorities of the committee is to consider legislation referred to it and to facilitate public participation, and to conduct oversight of any organ of the state and constitutional institution falling within its portfolio, and to consider the budget of the department and its entities falling within its portfolio. Bills referred to the committee: Statistics Amendment Bill B31, 2023, analysis of the bill in terms of government priorities and outcomes in progress, Referral date, it was on the 13th of October, ATC number 137, 2023. Date of public hearings with on the 5th of December, 2023. Consideration dates, 5th of December, 2023. Adoption with or without amendments, today, 8th of December, 2023, Chairperson. Publication to be announced, and the debate in the House to be announced, Chairperson. Oversight, none. Budget vote, analysis of the budget vote in terms of government priorities and outcomes is completed. The consideration date, 20th of October, 2023. Date of adoption of the report was on the 20th of October, 2023, Chairperson. Publication date of the report in the ATC was on the 24th. ATC number 144, 2023. Consideration date of in the House was on the 23rd of November, 2023, Chairperson. Committee strategic plan, none. Conference, workshop, seminar, none. International trips, none, Chairperson. Meetings held by the committee. The committee held 10 meetings between September and December. Those are the minutes, Chairperson, that the committee held. Today's one is the 11th one, Chairperson. I need to include that. Cancelled meetings or workshop, Chairperson. There were no cancelled meetings. It's only the workshop on the 15th of October, 2023. The reason for the cancellation was that the majority of members were not available. Public hearings were on the 5th of December, 2023. Agenda was the submission by SAB on 36 Amendment Bill. Place virtual presenters, Ms. Shanaz Mir, analysis of public hearings in terms of government priorities and outcomes in progress. I think it's completed. It's completed. Adoption of the report is today, 8th of December. Publication in the ATC to be announced. Estimated cost, none. Debate in the House to be announced. Consideration of Section 32 report of PFMA published by the National Treasury, none. Consideration of annual reports, Chair, on the 5th of October. Referral date, consideration date, the 13th of October, 2023. Name of entity, brand South Africa. Adoption of report, 20th of October, 2023. Publication of report in the ATC 24 October 2023. The second one was on the 12th of September 2023. Consideration date 13 October 2023. Name of entity Statistics South Africa. Adoption of report was on the 20th of October 2023, Chairperson. Publication date of the report in the ATC was on the 24th of October 2023. Information on entities reporting to the department, none. Application or activities not approved was our very first strategic planning, which was supposed to be on the 31st to the 1st of September. Objectives, PC on planning, monitoring and evaluation strategic workshop. Reasons, the House Chairperson did not approve the application. Sponsorship received by the committee, none. Papers referred to the committee, none. Papers referred to the committee for information, none. Support staff. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Moy. Before we deal with the adoption of the report, are there any comments or questions? None. Do I have a mover for the adoption of the report?
Chair, so moved.
Honorable Tobias moves for the adoption of the report. Any seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Seconds, therefore, our annual report duly adopted. And that's done. That's Ms. Moy, the last item for the day.
That was the last item, Chairperson.
Thank you. Let me thank all of you honorable members for going an extra mile and still be in a meeting on Friday, the 8th of December, when the House rose on Wednesday. It truly shows your commitment to the work as public representative. We really appreciate that. Also want to thank our entire support staff for the diligent work they continue to do in support of this committee. I want to appreciate and thank Stats SA for being with us and guiding in a number of areas. Hopefully this piece of work that has long been outstanding, the road to the end is much closer now to enable you to have enforcement mechanisms and some form of direction. I want to thank you for your time, members of the public who have joined and the media. So I want to thank you very much, and to all of you colleagues, there will be a brief break where you need to go and recharge and be able to do other tasks that you are required to do. Hopefully we will see each other in this format in a meeting of this nature in 2024. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Long live the chair.
Thank you,
Long live the
Chairperson.
chair.
All the best for the festive season, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you. We can put the SG slides now. The last slide of the SG.
Goodbye.